Hello, fellow cyborgs. I'm back from about 2 weeks of traveling and I'm quite tired, but I thought that this belated BookBuddyAthon wrap-up needed to happen. BookBuddyAthon was put on by Elena and Sam, and it took place from the 22nd to 28th of October. My book buddy was Acacia Ives, of course, and you can check out my TBR video for a more in-depth explanation of my TBR, but here's what I actually read. Also, we have a weird lighting situation, which is why we're over here, and it's just gonna be weird today. It's fine, whatever. So during that week, I picked up Turn of the Screw by Henry James. This was the buddy read between Acacia and I. I'm going to be talking about this more in my Victober wrap-up, but let's just say Acacia and I both were very unimpressed with this. The second prompt was to read a book with pictures in it, and so I picked up Make a Joyful Sound, which is an illustrated collection of African-American poetry for kids. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The illustrations in here vary a lot, and they're very beautiful and pertain to the poetry. So I thought that this would be a really lovely book, like an introduction to poetry to read to young children, because they have something to look at while you're telling them the interesting poem. And though these poems are meant for children, they aren't necessarily dumbed down. I did, however, feel a bit like a voyeur while reading this, with the sorts of experiences that are mostly determined by race that I will never be able to understand. I think that's okay. I think that in my journeys of learning about Black history and culture by reading more Black literature, that I'm at times going to feel alienated and feel like it's not my story because it primarily isn't. That shouldn't deter me, and that I have things to learn even if I'm feeling a little bit like I'm creeping on someone else's history and culture. I'm trying to be respectful, so hopefully that's what I'm doing, but I enjoyed this, and I think it was a really quality book, really, really beautifully published. Then I read Ancillary Mercy by Anne Leckie for the challenge of read a book with whose title starts with the same letter as your partner's name, so A for Acacia, A for Ancillary. This is the final book in the Imperial Roch trilogy, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Though the ending wasn't perhaps as climatic as it could have been, the thing that I really appreciated about this volume and how it works in the series as well, is that all of the books have similar sort of pacing, similar sort of like action to non-action scenes, similar sorts of quietness. So it's not like most trilogies where the first book is relatively slow, the second book builds up action and ends at a cliffhanger, and the third book is where all the things happen. That's not what you're going to find here. You're going to have a similar sort of pacing and style of book for all 3 of these in the trilogy, and that's something I really appreciate. I loved this. I loved coming back to this world. I didn't believe how much I had missed it, but I really did. It was just so enjoyable, and this continues to be my favorite science fiction series so far, and I don't know if anything will top it. And then I picked up Arcadia, which is a play by Tom Stoppard, just because, which was the prompt. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars as well. I feel like I didn't understand this very well. Perhaps I was reading it too quickly. That's not surprising given my habits. But at the end of this, I still kind of felt like I wanted to cry. So I think that the nature of this play would probably do very well by watching it on stage. In this play, there are 2 different timelines, and there's a moment in this play where the timelines converge on stage at the same time, and I think that that would have been much easier to see someone perform rather than to read and me have to visualize and keep track of all the characters on stage. But overall, I was really impressed with this. I definitely need to reread it. This is a play for people who are interested in things about books and literature or poetry, people who like a good little mystery and time period settings. This was also just seemed to have quite a lot of soul to it. So I definitely need to reread it in the future because it impacted me at the end, but I couldn't really tell you why, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this. I enjoyed my first Stoppard play, and I look forward to reading more from him in the future. And then the last prompt was just to read 5 books total over the week. I was leaving before the week's reading was finished up, and my last day of being home before traveling, I don't think I read it all because when I'm really anxious and stressed out, I can't focus, I can't stop or anything. So I pretty much just watched videos and organized things. In my TBR video, you saw that I wanted to finish up 3 books that I was already currently reading in the middle of, which is The Master by Colm Toybeen, Kindred by Octavia Butler, and Villette by Charlotte Bronte. I ended up finishing Villette. This too I'm going to talk about in my Victober wrap-up, and also I think in a separate review actually. I gave this a preemptory 5 stars. So I had a hard time getting through this and getting into this, and I think my general enjoyment level of this reading experience was 3 stars. But once I finished it, I realized something that really changed how I looked back at the entire novel. It was mostly the introduction by Mallory Ortberg. And so I then had to reevaluate all of my previous experiences with this book, and I am sure that upon rereading, this is going to absolutely be my new favorite Charlotte Bronte. I just connect with Lucy Snow on so many levels, and yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this with you guys because it's a really interesting sort of book, and I don't think it's a book for everyone, but I think that for the people that this book is for, it is incredibly important. So anyway, we'll get to that in the future. So I did not end up reading any more of The Master or Kindred, and that's okay. These guys they're troopers. They've just been on my nightstand for ages because books just keep getting in front of them. I think it's because I'm not buddy reading these, and so the books that I'm reading for just myself get sacrificed along the way of scheduling, but I'll finish them before the end of the year. That is definitely one of my goals. So these are the books that I finished during that BookBuddyAthon week. I really enjoyed reading a lot of these, and so I'm really glad that BookBuddyAthon kicked my little butt in gear on these. I'm hoping to catch up on some filming in the weeks to come, so you will probably be seeing quite a few videos from me, and I'm really excited about that because there is a lot certainly that I have to talk with you about. I hope that you have had a lovely start, good chunk of a start to November. If you are participating in nonfiction November, I hope that's going really well for you and you're feeling really motivated and proud of yourself. And if you're not, then I hope you are just enjoying November for November's sake. Thank you for watching, and until next time, please continue to be lovely. Your November fall leaf. And again, thank you to my patrons who support my channel through Patreon. I very much love your continued support. I appreciate all that you're doing for this channel, and I hope that you are having an especially fantastic day.